energy. I was very frustrated. I saw things that I really didn't enjoy. I'm so frustrated. And that was a heavy, we're having a little technical fun here. That's what I call it, technical fun, because I don't know how to fix it. You good? So anyway, let's talk about what usually happens is there's a lot of inconsistencies in what you're seeing in your business, inconsistent to what you want it to be, inconsistent with the delivery, inconsistent between employees, inconsistency between divisions, whether it's the front desk and the operation of the salon floor. And that's what's really creating the frustrations. And one thing I know for sure is if we don't address those inconsistencies when they're this big, they're going to become this big way too fast. And when you have an opportunity to address it here, that's the energy it's going to take to fix. When you have to address it when it's this big, it's a lot of energy, and it also equates to time usually to fix it. So if we settle and do nothing, we're going to lose. So we have to jump in and say, what are those inconsistencies? And it's usually our behaviors. It's usually our action. It's usually the way we're delivering things. Okay. So if we think about habits, the definition that I felt to be the nicest one was that I think applied to us the best was a highly structured behavior is a habit. A highly structured behavior. And so oftentimes people are talking about the fact that, gosh, we're not structured enough. We're too loosey-goosey. I was meeting with someone the other day, and she said, what we started off as a salon, we're now different than that. And it's not recognizable usually until it's obvious. The little changes, the little shifts. And the structured behavior is all supported by the values of the business. What habits do our guests need us to master? And it's the habits of our greeting, it's the habits of our consultation, it's the habits of our chairside manner, and so on and so forth. We're going to dig into those a little bit. But habits are something that become just natural and automatic. We know that we're automatically going to do this. And one of the things that I've been talking about lately is when Starbucks came in, they said, we're going to make coming to our window a little bit better than everyone else. And one of the things they say is, see you at the window. And the first time I heard it, I thought, okay, here I come. I love that. And when you walk into Cold Stone Creamery, everyone looks up and says, welcome to Cold Stone Creamery. And they created a habit and they created a commitment, and you automatically expect it when you walk in the door. I went into Walgreens. Hi, honey. I went into Walgreens, and they said, welcome to Walgreens. And God bless them. They just couldn't pull that off. I think that they felt like it looked and sounded really good, and they were going to put it in place, but the team's not committed to it. So it came off as a mandate versus a desire to please. It's mandated. We have to say, welcome to Walgreens, versus, hi, welcome to Cold Stone Creamery. Come on in here and get some ice cream. There's a big difference. And we have to have our staff understand, if we go back one slide, that we do these things because we need to have the structured behavior and the habits that support our values of our business. Now, I think Walgreens wants that to happen, but the staff isn't buying into it. And what habits do our guests need us to master? That's huge to me. So how do we do this? What disciplines can we bank on? And what disciplines can our guests bank on that are going to return the energy and the investment that we are expecting it to make? Now, let's go through this. You know, I think about when Nordstrom first started to really create market share years ago, one of the things you notice about Nordstrom is they smile. They literally are communicating with you. They have piano playing in the background. When they make an announcement in the store, it just says, Mrs. Cowan, and everyone has that Nordstrom voice when they're making an announcement. Now, Neiman has the same assortment of goods, but the energy and the happiness isn't there. It's a little stiff. It's a little tired. The merchandise isn't tired. The staff looks tired, like they really aren't there for the right reasons. So let's go into my favorite clip.
Listen up, people. Listen up. We used to be the best surgical program in the West. An upstart program that no one ever heard of, blew everyone out the water. Then overnight, we got old, entrenched, and sloppy, just like everyone else. We've been resting on our laurels. You have all been failing to take initiative, failing to ask the tough questions, failing to practice your skills, failing to give opportunity to practice skills. And I let it happen. So you have not failed. We have failed. Well, it stops. And it stops now. People sliding over general surgery as though they will never see anything but a heart or a brain through the course of their career. As though blood from the heart doesn't make its way through the whole body, or the nerves don't travel past the brain stem. It's shoddy teaching, and it makes for shoddy surgeons. We failed. Get it? We all have. And it stops now. The surgical training protocol is officially changing, people. The bar's been raised. Consider yourself on notice.
Reality. It's so much more interesting than living happily ever after.
When you look at this slide, when you think about this clip, I mean, there's so many things that he touched on. I mean, the writers were so good at saying, how are we going to project that we need to reinvent ourselves and get back and put our behaviors and our actions to support what we are as a hospital. All those words could be used in a salon very easily. But whether it be fail to take initiative, failing to study, failing to ask great questions or tough questions, failing to realize that every patient is important regardless if they want a trim or a $400 ticket. And we still have people that talk about not wanting to do a walk-in. You know, behaviors become the rituals. And you know, I think about one of the things I want you to take back to this is behaviors or habits are really rituals that we're going to create in the salon. These are our service rituals, whether it's technical rituals, chairside manner, dialogue, and business. And let's go through these one at a time. When you think about service rituals, I can remember that one of the things that we learned once, and some people have put it into play and others haven't, is when does the service begin? What is the service ritual that says, welcome, we're now ready to start, and this is your time to really enjoy the salon. Is Steve on, Brian?
I'm right here.
Oh, honey, you can talk too. Please jump in, okay?
I've been waiting for you to take a breath.
Okay. So we're going to talk about rituals. Why don't you capitalize on what you're thinking about right now?
Okay. I think that when we take this topic, disciplines and behaviors, as it relates to the salon, I think that we really have the opportunities in these 4 distinct areas: the chairside manner, which includes our dialogue, and the business. And I think that it's sometimes left so much to chance, the way that we as a company and as a business come across to our ultimate consumer. I think of a book that John Maxwell put out that says everyone communicates and few connect. And there's certainly a difference between communication and connection. Businesses at last have connection with their ultimate consumer. And I think that discipline as
Steve,
purposeful approach.
Steve,
Yes.
we're having a little difficulty with your connection, so sometimes we're not getting every word.
Let me see if I can change anything here.
Okay. Well, let me just touch on the service ritual as far as chairside manner and the service rituals. We've got people that have created a welcoming ritual at the shampoo bowl. So, for example, maybe a couple of drops of the signature oil that they're either featuring all of the time, or maybe they're featuring this month, one drop of oil. They put it in their hands. They ask the guests to close their eyes, take a couple of big deep breaths in, and now they know the service or the welcoming ritual means the service is beginning. That is something that a lot of people will put into play, right? And then 2 weeks later, no one's doing it any longer. Didn't want to take the time, didn't have time to reach over to get the oil. We have to be so committed to saying this welcoming ritual will set us apart, and also it's a really nice thing to do for our guests to start the process. Now we're going to go into these one by one, but when you think about service rituals, you can learn them from other companies. You can be on an aircraft and you have some aircrafts that will provide a hot towel for the guests, whether maybe they're in business class or first class, and it might have an essential oil in it. And does it really cost anything? Not really, but it sets them apart, and it's saying your service is now beginning. So when you create service rituals, you have to have full engagement from the staff, or it's not going to work. And certainly, if I enjoyed it this time, I'm going to look for it next time. And so I'll be disappointed if it's not in place. Steve, are you back on?
Yeah.
Okay.
I decided I'd try on the computer and hopefully this will be better.
It is better.
But again, Terry, even the small thing of the hot towel, the hot wash rag when you're in business or first class, it doesn't cost any money, but it does say we realize you're at a higher price point in service than a normal airline flight. And there are things that are going to happen when you're in a higher level of service. And it's, you know, in coach class, you may get a bag of peanuts, but in first class or business class, you're going to get a meal. You're going to get a hot towel when you know, so there's things that are different about it. And I think that sometimes in the salon world, the things that we need to do to differentiate our price. To me, right now, the thing I'm stuck on is we have to have a big movement to remove what we do as a service provider from the commodity standpoint. A commodity is, it's the same everywhere. So price dictates or convenience dictates. To not be a commodity says you individually matter. You added to that service. You added to this equation or this encounter.
That makes a difference.
Makes the difference.
Mm-hmm.
And so those things are going to happen by developing disciplines and behaviors and developing rituals around every part of the business that the guest enjoys. It is the technical side. I think of a conversation I recently had with Scott Cole, great hairdresser, and we talked about something called skills and drills. And every day starts with skills and drills, which really is, how do we handle our tools? How do we, I mean, something as simple as that. And I know for those of you that are long timers in the beauty industry might say, you know, I'm so far past that. You may be, but there's teammates of yours that aren't. And so does it take, I mean, it's just like a major league hitter in the on-deck circle.
Or warming up before a game.
Or warming up before a game. There are things that they do to get themselves ready to participate in that sport that they are a professional at. I mean, their basketball players are still shooting layups before a game. They're still taking jump shots before a game. They're still practicing free throws before a game, even though they might have shot millions of those. And so when it comes to these skills and drills, how do we as a team, everybody as a team, handle our scissors? How do we handle our brushes, our irons, our dryers? What's our blow dry technique? How do we turn the technical side of our business? How do we mix color? How do we present color? How do we section hair? How do we meet and greet a guest? That gets more into the chairside manner and the dialogue. But all of those things, the more we can turn them into rituals, the more we can add discipline and specific behaviors to them, the more we establish ourselves as a different level, a different class of service. The more that it says, okay, this money I'm spending with you, my favorite service provider, is worth it.
Mm-hmm. I like that so much. You know, I think about sports in this, whether you're watching Wimbledon and the players take the court and they're gonna even warm up in front of the crowd. We don't warm up in front of the crowd. We just start working. I mean, we don't even have an area that says we're ready, or we've got these opening rituals that we do as a team even before we start the day. You know, I used to love the pre-meals in the restaurant industry because that was our warm-up. Our warm-up to make sure everyone was in dress code, our warm-up to make sure that the ladies all had their makeup on, that their nails looked professional and polished and not chipped and dirty. We talked about the specials of the day. We talked about what our focus was, the amount of reservations that we had in, and got everyone on the same page. Sometimes we have people that walk in the business don't even say good morning. So how can we as a team have opening rituals or taking the field early? We don't take the salon early. We just start working, usually very independently. And when a team is clicking and really working together, it's so obvious. And when it's not, that's obvious too. When you talk about skills and drills, you know, I look at people and think, wow, they are a natural, holding their tools, holding their irons, their body positioning. And they could have a teammate right next to them that just looks awkward. Now, they might get the same curl formation, but the dance didn't look as pretty as they were doing the hair. And that's what Scott's referring to. It's the whole process. The result might be the same, but sometimes I look at a hairdresser and think, man, you are struggling. And they're not. That's just what their habits have created. And someone has to get in there and help change that up. Chairside manner. I mean, we could go hours just on this. And how are we to project ourselves? What is our service to look like? You know, when we're in a restaurant, I'm always critiquing and we're always talking about the service that we've got. We had a young lady this weekend at a Bob Evans that really stood out to our family. And she knew her menu, she knew her customers, she knew to deliver service even if it wasn't asked for. She anticipated, she wasn't invasive to our family. She was just on top of it. And we really enjoyed her. And she not only went through the motions, but she decided to connect. And we came back the next day and requested her, and we had her again. And she has a special soul about her, a service soul, and knew her place and also knew when to lean in to make connection with the guest. We didn't need to know anything about her personal life. It wasn't necessary, right? There was no need for it. And she talked about how much she really loved working at Bob Evans and that she had been there, I believe, 9 years or something, and really, really enjoyed making a difference there. So chairside manner is all how the guest is enjoying the service, not the service we think we're delivering. It's how they are enjoying it. And is it comfortable? Is it easy? And is it natural? Chairside manner has specific dialogue that's necessary in how to upsell the menu and how to guide them through the experience, whether now we want to move over to the opening ritual, we're going to take you into the wash house, which is our signature service, all the dialogue that highlights what we do. We're going to be putting your color on at the color bar where we celebrate color. There's just things you can say, but most people will say the least that they need to make a difference.
Well, and the other thing, I mean, I think there's two parts to this whole chairside manner dialogue thing. One, of course, is the dialogue. The other is also the presence and the atmosphere that we create. It's body positioning, it's attentiveness, it's our pay attention factor, it's our posture, and it is our dialogue. And again, all of those things, naturals are naturally good at it. Unfortunately, we don't all hire naturals.
Well, we're also not just talking about haircuts and color right now. If you think about what we're talking about, even with the technical side, we're talking about tools and placement and body position. Never once have we talked about the outcome of the hair. But most education, most time that we're spending together critiquing is about the outcome of the hair versus the process of how we look while we're doing it.
Well, I think back to the two top reasons why we hear people leave one salon and go to another. One is that they didn't feel important. 7 out of 10 said they didn't feel important in the salon that they were presently going to. And the other, also 7 out of 10, is that
they weren't offered change.
They weren't offered change. Well, you know what? I mean, both of those things are we approaching? If we know that's why people leave us, are we designing into our rituals things that address that? They're not leaving because of poor quality. They're not leaving because their color didn't turn out. They're not leaving because the price was too high. They're leaving because they didn't feel important and they weren't offered change. And so if we're not designing into our service culture, into our guest experience, things that address helping them to feel important, things that address offering change and discussing change with them, then we're leaving ourselves wide open for that sort of thing to happen. We're leaving ourselves wide open for a temporary guest.
So the business rituals, whether it's filling out a scorecard or having goals that I have to hit and communicate, whether it's our take-home dollar per guest or our savings dollar per guest, and being known that we've got these divisions of our company. And the divisions could be our wash house with a wash house menu, our color bar with a color menu, our treatment and our hair therapies. It could also be the men's division, our take-home division. We have a lot of divisions in our company that we're trying to project out to the guest. What percentage am I of those things? And so there's business behaviors I'm responsible for. And I think if I was a hairdresser, I would say to the guest, you know what? I'm going to be able to have 45 minutes with you. There are some things that I have to discuss today as my commitment to you as your professional. So I'm going to talk about what I think is needed in the wash house and in color and so on and so forth. I'm even going to talk about the fact that, you know, we also specialize in grooming for men, and we'd love to have you recommend friends and family our way that you would think would enjoy our service as well. And of course, take home. And when you look at the things that we can talk about, sometimes our guests have to ask, what is that? Or what is this? Versus us presenting it to them. And in business, we have a responsibility of presenting our offerings to the guest. And we need to know, I mean, what percentage am I of chemical? You know, if you're a 20% chemical person, mostly doing haircuts, why is that? You have someone else that's an 80% chemical percentage of the business. Why is that? Rescheduling is a priority and a business behavior that's necessary. And when we're looking at that, we have to know that getting our guests back is our number one responsibility. Everyone's responsibility to create a repeat guest. We've got salons now that have concierge staff walking the salon floor, rescheduling appointments as the guest is in the chair. And because we're creating convenience, our business decisions, we have to start using and thinking about, are we creating convenience for our guests? Steve, why don't you go into that with Amazon?
I'm sorry, tell me which direction.
Well, I'm thinking about convenience. I was going to keep talking, but I want you to enjoy them. Let me just start it and then you take over.
Sure.
You know, when we think about Amazon and people saying that we're losing to Amazon, I don't believe that's the case, because Amazon, anytime I talk to anyone, whether it's even a colleague or a teammate at PSC, they're not saying, I bought this product at Amazon and this product is what you have to get at Amazon and this product is the best thing. They're talking about the convenience of Amazon, the conveniences. And so they're not talking about the product offerings of Amazon, they're talking about the convenience of Amazon. They're so easy to do business with. Are we easy to do business with? And do we speed up the process or do we make them wait? And that's,
well, here's the thing I think about, Terry, is that Amazon is more convenient and there's no people that come in contact with or touch the guest experience. I mean, they're just aren't. I don't know where that is. I can't stop it.
Is that my husband?
Yep, that's my phone rang on my computer.
Okay.
Isn't that fun? And so there's no people, there's no personal interaction with Amazon. It's all on an app, on a computer.
It's like a robot.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, there may be people behind the scenes that pick and pack, although I doubt it. I think that's all robotic. But the fact of the matter is, it's no people. So that's what we're competing against. So what things, I mean, certainly we can add conveniences like finding a way to set up future reservations today with a concierge who's available in the salon to do that at the station on an iPad. We can send emails, we can allow online booking, scheduling, we can look at doing all of those types of things. But our real area to compete comes in two packages. One is that we have 30 to 60 minutes face time with our guest. They're physically in our business for 30 to 60 minutes each visit. And the second is that you as a person can interact with them. And I've said this for years, and I really believe it. Any internet company would give up their internet if they could have 30 to 45 or 60 minutes with each buyer one-on-one, physically in their business. They would do that. And we've got that, and we've got a license, and we've got a service that can't be done in a remote fashion, and we've got products required in order to maintain that service. So if we pay attention to these things, I think we can absolutely not only compete, but I think we win. Because I know guests love their hairdressers. They love their hairdressers. And they love all of you. And so it's just a matter of build these things into our service experience, our guest experience, and I don't think we have anything else to worry about.
So when you think about the rituals, this could take just a brainstorming. Like, once again, we're not talking about the outcome of the hair. We're talking about how can we improve upon and lock in some great habits with our service rituals, and thinking about the examples we gave you today. You don't have to do them all at the same time, right? Even if people, even the social media, I probably should have entered rituals with social media. You got some people that'll do a great job with social media and then you don't see them for another month. So these behaviors, try not to put anything into play or place that you can't maintain that kind of habit. Start with little things that they become rituals. If you do too much at one time, it's going to feel overwhelming. Okay. So
Remember, great service is not how great we are any one time. It's how great we are and the service experience we deliver over time that matters. Again and again and again. Our industry is known for starting and stopping. We do things, we do it once, everybody loved it, and then we just don't do it again, or it's not important. We do it for a week, and then it's not done again.
Well,
so what are things that we can commit to?
we're guilty of that too. And this slide, I'm sorry, I have a typo on here. I don't know what I did. What I'm trying to say is, when you are so committed to these rituals and you create these habits, it becomes so deeply woven into the fabric of a salon that you wouldn't think of not doing it that way. I'm sorry, I don't know what I wrote there, but that's what I was trying to say. It just
kind of like what Robert says, do what you do, not until you can get it right, but do it until you can't get it wrong.
Right. It's a good way. Thank you for clearing that up. Okay, so let's talk about energy, because the energy of the salon is really, it's how building these kind of things, it's almost like going to rehab. You know, if you break a leg and they say, oh, you have to go to rehab to build back the energy in that leg, build back. And when you go to rehab, there's structure from the therapist, there's a routine, there's habits, there's disciplines that are going to push you harder to see what that leg is capable of doing while you're going through energy. That's the same thing that happens in the salon. Steve, when you had your knees replaced, you went to therapy until they were convinced that you had built up your energy back in your knees, right? That's the same thing that needs to happen in business. You know, we all get in a funk, and where you can lose sight of that your energy's down. You don't even know it. That it's almost like flatline. And what you've got to do is put the salon back through rehab. And rehab maybe needs to be looked at, and we go through a rehabilitation structure or assignment once a quarter. But when we look at what are the performance barriers that get in the way, these are also our distractions, but what are the performance barriers that get in the way, that suck out our energy, that just take the energy? So we ourselves have low energy, you know, maybe we're not eating right or sleeping right, or we've got some distractions that are in the way. I mean, fatigue, anxiety, low stress tolerance, poor concentration, work-life balance is off, distractions in life, negative thinker, impatience. Our social skills are lacking, relationship building, that's especially true in a brand new hairdresser as they're nervous, creating their name in the community, and lack of passion for doing the job, or lack of passion to fight through what it takes to become successful. You know, find out. Everyone's different. If I had to say my performance barriers right now, I'm always probably going to be on low stress tolerance and no patience. I think impatience is probably my biggest performance barrier. And it can also be fatigue at times, trying to balance out the travel and everything else that's necessary. And work-life balance. Already I've listed 5 that I have. You know, if I get something done here, then 5 things didn't get done at home. If I get something done at home, then things don't get done here. If I get time with Steve, we're in connection. If Steve's in my schedule, don't link up. Those all create performance barriers for our company. It's not our staff's fault. Those are just mine. Now, you take just mine, put Steve's next to it, then take our team's next to it, and we have performance barriers everywhere. How do we address them, and how do we get better at it? What are you going to say yours are?
Terry.
What? Terry, I'm the barrier?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, I got it. It took me a moment to figure that out.
It usually does.
Yes.
I think maybe a little bit of fatigue and anxiety tends to creep in, and I think at times concentration, because there's so many
moving parts.
Yeah.
And also, how do you respond during that? So this is really good. Dynamics of energy. Most people, now, if you look at what we're going for is the right-hand corner. This would be the optimum. High positive energy is invigorated, confident, challenged, joyful, connected. Those people are fully engaged. They've got a spring in their step. The business isn't going to get them. They're going to get the business. And then you can be very positive, but low energy, where you're relaxed, mellow, peaceful, tranquil, serene. The worst ones are the ones that are high negative, but they also have high energy in their negativity. And they're angry, fearful, anxious. So you can see those. Where does your team fall in, and where do you fall in on this? And I think that when you have no energy and you're negative, you're low negative, and that, look where you are. You're depressed, exhausted. I hate that word, burned out. When someone says it, drives me nuts, especially when they work 30 hours a week. And they're hopeless and defeated. Where is your team falling on this? And guess what? When you know where to put your team in this, now your guests are seeing that same thing. So how are you going to talk to them about how we have to protect and be high energy and also high positive? So we have to be high positive and high energy. And it's not easy. It always doesn't, high positive, high energy doesn't always mean that you're not going to have disconnects, or you're not going to have conversations about facts that need improvement. It just means you still have the ability to lean in and step in and say, okay, let's fix this thing, right? Steve, you tend to go to the low positive. When you're anxious or tranquil, you get very quiet and almost internal. And that's when it hurts, because when you're quiet, that's when people start saying, what is he thinking? What is he thinking? What is he thinking? Versus having your voice be heard, and that brings the energy right up, because they know that you know. What do you have to say about this? I love this.
I think it's real. What I tried to look at is how energy added to any of those things, passion added to any of those things, I think can elevate a level. I think energy is a decision and an amount of effort that you put into something. So I think if you aspire to being high positive, then the difference is how much you're putting into it. Because that's where that invigorated comes from. Confidence comes and goes, and you've got the people that say act as if, and that will come. Confidence usually comes with knowledge that you put into action. I think joy comes from doing what makes your heart sing. So yeah, I mean, I think that there's definitely, this is a conversation, this is a thought provoker, it's a thought starter. Say, where am I, and where do I want to be? What do I aspire to, and what's it going to take to get there? Because left to our own devices as human beings, again, I go back to this human beings versus human doings. Left to our own devices, we're ripe for burnout. We're ripe for exhaustion. We're ripe for anger and fear and all of those things. To be something different than that is a lot of effort, a lot of energy, a lot of decision making to say, not today, not me, not on my watch, not going to happen. So,
well, and I think that you could also have different energy during the day. If we're not eating right, which do we? If we're not getting exercise, do we? Right? You can create negative energy and negative positives. You can create that, because what do we need to have? Go go get something. I love those commercials. Those Snickers commercials where they'd say, hey, you need to have a bite of Snickers because you're looking like Betty White right now, or you're acting like such and such. Those used to crack me up because they were so true. You need something right now. When does our team need something right now? I remember a boss used to say to me, you need to go rinse your wrists under ice cold water and bring that blood pressure down a little bit. And it worked. I'd go back there and rinse them and just feel myself just breathe, because it wasn't necessary to get all that worked up during that moment of craziness. And I used to say to the staff, we are going to close tonight. I mean, we don't have to live like this for the rest of our lives. We will close. This madness will stop at some point. So what do we do about checking into our energy levels throughout the day? What's our opening energy look like? What's that morning, and then midday, and then evening, and then close? What does it look like in there? What does it feel like? And how do we keep that up? I don't know, but Disney, if you think about being at the parks, they switch out their cast members. And I think they switch them out because there's only so much time you can give that kind of full-on energy that Disney requires. They've got to have breaks to bring that back and bring it back up, right? So how do we do that in our salons? Because our guests need us. In fact, some people say, I'm so tired. How are you? Oh, I'm just tired. I'm so burned out. This has been a week. And that's the kind of service provider they're introducing themselves to. That's not good either.
Well, I think of the phrase that says, be responsible for the energy that you bring into the room, the business, the family, the event that you're at. Be responsible for the energy that you bring. And I think that sometimes, again, that comes easily, and other times you really have to call it to mind. I know I have to call it to mind a lot more than you do, Terry.
I struggle when no one puts any personality or energy into something. They just sit there like a big rock or a big thug. I have a hard time with that. I'm thinking, if you do this every day, give me some of your energy. Give me some of your ideas. What are your challenges? Yesterday, we had a Paul Mitchell truck arrive late, so we all had to go out into the warehouse. And I can either go down and go into the warehouse and drag my feet or tell them how tired I am, being one of the oldest out there, not the oldest, thank God, but one of the oldest. Or I have to say the entire time I'm out there, put a spring in your step. This is high impact. We're coming out to help. And let's say I want the staff and our order fulfillment team say, that was great. They brought great energy when we came out. They didn't suck it out of us. They brought some energy. They brought some commitment. They brought some effort. And I had to be mindful of that. That's not as easy. I'm going to be 57. That's not as easy as it was in my 20s. But they deserve to see that. And so when help is on its way, does it come out there with a face on? Or does it come out there saying, hey, we're here to serve, we're here to help, and we're going to bring the energy up? I think that there's people that when they walk in the room, you go, oh my God, thank God they're here. Stephanie Kachelski's one of those. As soon as she walks in the room, energy goes up a couple decimal points. And she knows that she carries that responsibility with her. And I know that even with my personality, it requires me to do that. If I come in differently, people are going to say, what's wrong? So we've got to look at the dynamics that are required in the salon industry. And that energy is a big factor. It's certainly a big factor when you're talking about creating habits and disciplines, because when you look at the high positive on here, if we're changing things, we want people confident, challenged, joyful, connected to the change, invigorated by the change. We don't want people to be angry with the change, fearful of the change, anxious with the change. So energy really relates to what's going to happen and how we move forward. I mean, if you think about where do we waste energy? And the line is, we wasted too much energy on this and it cost us this. All right, so where do we waste our energy at? We're wasting energy on gossip. We're wasting so much energy on dress code. We're wasting so much energy on who gets the new clients. We're wasting so much energy. What are you wasting energy on? And that's a great staff meeting saying, look, we're not doing that anymore. That's really a difficult thing to battle, is where do we waste energy at? You know, we went to, and we're going to open this up to questions, but Steve, where can you think you're wasting energy right now?
Drama.
Can't stand it. And drama's alive 24 hours a day. We have to realize that now with social media and posts and everything else. You know, it's alive, and it's full throttle all the time. You can't get away from it. And if you want to create a committee, you know, you can create one very quickly on drama. And all I know is that's not going to make our businesses better. It makes our businesses look sloppy. And
And I don't think people think about it. I don't think even leaders many times think about the next phrase, and it costs us X.
yeah.
What does it cost us? It costs us time and attention. It costs us the energy and the thoughts of, in many cases, our best team members, because they're trying to defray the drama. And it's no different. You only have X amount of hours, and everybody only has 24 hours in a day, and there's only a portion of that that's going to go to their professional life. And if a significant portion of their professional life is spent managing, dealing with, responding to, or thinking about drama situations in the workplace, they're just not able to give you their full-on best. I'd rather have our best thinkers be thinking about the best ways to serve the guest, to grow our business, to make a difference for our customer experience. That's really the key. That's where we want them. It's a huge obstacle to have them spend time thinking about things that really aren't, they are a common day phenomenon. There were things, for example, you let an employee go for all the right reasons, just not a good fit. And on the way out, that person creates some noise in the ways that they can today, either on social media or on review websites. And now all of a sudden, the leadership of the business is dealing or feeling like they need to think about, respond to, deal with that, instead of
Skills and drills.
Yeah, instead, the old days, when you let somebody go, they probably still said all that once they left, but it didn't get back to the business. It didn't get back to the owners or the leadership. It may have gotten to the other people that work there, but it didn't get back. So think about the times where we're wasting thought, energy, positivity on some of these drama issues, and what it costs us in guest experience. Because you never know when people, when your existing staff are watching you and seeing and saying, oh, what's the matter with him? What's the matter with her?
And did you hear?
Yeah. And you get the updates on your phone. Somebody takes a picture of something on social media and sends it to you, and like, oh my, who cares, really?
Who cares, really?
Yeah. I mean, I can't change what that person said or wrote, nor can you. Now, we can say this is how we behave here, and for the people that are employed, this is how we do it, and this is what we want you thinking about, and this is the presence we want you to have, and all of those things. Continually try and bring out the best in people. That's really the key.
Wasted too much energy on this, and it cost us this. Oh, God. I hate when I walk into something that we've addressed already, and then it didn't get fixed, so we're addressing it again. Now, how do we provide or stop us from my hair's sticking up. That means I'm thinking. how do we stop ourselves from wasting energy? How do we catch ourselves saying, hey, this isn't productive, this isn't productive. We're confusing productivity with activity. Activity is just stupid stuff that's getting in the way of us being who we can be, right? And so we need to realize someone's got to put a stop to the wasted energy. And someone has to, I mean, I don't care if you create a buzzword or whatever, but is this productive? Are we making a difference right now? No, we're not. We went to a ball game. We got to see our nephew play ball in a traveling tournament, and we needed some sit and stare time, so we drove down to Indy with the children last Friday and watched a good tournament. We saw some good baseball. But we went to, I mean, these were 17-year-olds. And Cole said something to me about being tired. And I said, don't you dare say you're tired at 17. Seriously? That sounds ridiculous on a 17-year-old. Well, Auntie, I said, you know what? Your window for playing ball is probably this big. And so therefore, enjoy every second of it, because when you're my age, you wish you were playing ball still. So don't use any excuses. Get out there and be full throttle. Well, when we were talking, we went to watch him play the next day, and I think it was the third inning, and the energy of the team was just flat. I mean, they hadn't had a good play, and so they were, I don't know if they were pouting or sulking or already feeling a little defeated, but all of a sudden they got in the game, and they had some big hits and some big plays, and all of a sudden their energy went from nothing to huge. And I yelled out, welcome to the game, boys. Glad you showed up finally. I mean, and seriously, that's what businesses do sometimes. Welcome to the game. Get in there. Let's have some fun. And that's why when you look at your hours of operation and you look at your team of people, does your hours of operation create the energy you want? Does your team of people you have on, is your leadership right to create the energy you want so you can say, welcome to the game, boys? I mean, Steve, we noticed it immediately right when it happened. You felt the shift.
Sure.
And we talked about that. We talked about that a lot, about one great play. One person stepping up can change the whole dynamics of a team of players.
Well, it's so obvious in sports, and it's got to be equally obvious in business, but we're not recognizing it. We're not looking for it, or we're not taking the plan that, you know, if we're going to win, it's every team member's responsibility to make a difference. And is it your time? Is this your time? What if it is your time to be the one that turns everything around? And it happens in moments, and those moments come and go. And there were opportunities, as I think back to that game when Terry and I, the final game of the tournament that Cole played in, when the game was at its worst, I counted 5 opportunities for one player to make a big play that could have turned the game around, and not at the plate, you know, not a hit. So you sit there and think throughout the day, what's that one play? What's that one guest? What's that one thing? What's that one piece of dialogue? What's that one word of encouragement to a person you work with? What's that one nod of approval to a young teammate that's working in the salon? What's that one time where you bring dignity to an assistant position by introducing them properly? There's all these little things that happen throughout the day.
They can be big plays.
Yeah, they are big plays. They're the opportunities for big plays. And you know, again, it comes back to things that John Paul says when he says that successful people do all the things that unsuccessful people aren't willing to do. And then you put his other phrase that says that success unshared is failure. Are the people that are most successful in your business, in your salon, are they sharing? Are they sharing what they know? Are they sharing their story? Are they sharing a moment with other people who maybe are on their first day or their first week or their first month of employment in your company? So we've got all kinds of opportunities surrounding us. It's a matter as anything. It's a matter of the what's your discipline for sharing? What's your discipline for making the big play? And quite honestly, are the people who are the most successful in your salon worth copying?
That's a great thing to say. Are they great examples? Or have they created that wall up? And they say it out loud, hey, I've done this a long time, or, I've been here 8 years. I just want to come in and do my guests and go home. Well, that doesn't work here. We've got to have your engagement. And, I almost put on one of the energy slides on the bottom, low positive, or, they could be positive people, but they create so much low energy that they're boring. They're boring. No one wants to hear them speak because they give. It appears they give none of themselves, and it almost is a very selfish position to be in. How do we create where we've got a salon that we are known? We're known for being a training and development salon. That we are going to create other people to create magic in this community. We're a training salon, just like that in the Grey's Anatomy is a training hospital. And there's something really, the expectations are higher in a training hospital when you position yourselves like that. So are we a training salon? And that means everyone on staff is held to a higher standard. And we don't have the luxury of putting the shield up and working independently. Okay, so we have 1 minute left. Do you have any closing comments, or anyone want to shoot us a comment or a question? Brian, are we opening that up for them?
There's no questions as of right now.
No questions as of right now. Okay.
I think the last thing that I want to say is that we've got a unique opportunity in the Chicago area coming up, the 21st through the 27th here in Chicago, for the movie, the movie called Good Fortune, which is about John Paul DeJoria and his life. It's what do they call that? A documentary. I'm sorry. It's a documentary on John Paul's life. It was done by some really big time famous movie people that have produced award-winning documentaries. John Paul's documentary won the Sundance Festival for overall documentaries this year. It's going to be in Chicago at the Cinematique. You can get information online or on Facebook. There's a Good Fortune page. Any of our web stuff or social media stuff also has it. But it debuts Friday night at 6:30, and I think our plan is to be there. Hope you join us.
Have a great month, everyone. We'll see you next month.
Thank you.
Bye. Thanks, Brian.
Hi, I was just going to see if you guys have a graduation. Did you not fill the form yet? The certificate on ceremony? Yeah, I have it. Oh, no. I heard that you don't.
Doing the news.